We're at the Republican Jewish Coalition Spring Meet. It's an annual event. Politicians were here. President Trump, Vice President Pence, Mort, Klein. What was your take on the whole event overall?
Especially President Trump's speech brought me to tears. As a child of Holocaust survivors, to see a man so unequivocally, sincerely supportive of the Jewish people and the Jewish state with his heart and soul, even though the Jewish people do not support President Trump, shows how sincere he is, how principled he is in his belief that these are the right positions for America to take to help the Jewish state of Israel. So it brought me to tears.
Would you clarify people here?
I support President Trump because he's been the greatest friend to Israel we've ever had. There's never been anyone like him.
Orthodox support him.
Most Orthodox support him, a clear majority, unequivocal majority. But, the polls show that 20-25% of the Jews, only that number support President Trump. And it's disheartening. He's been so great for Israel and for America. You would think that the Jews would appreciate that we have this really extraordinary president when it comes to our people. But Jews are obsessed with being liberal Democrats.
Well, but the Democrat Party is changing now in ways which are not favorable to Jews or Zionists or people who care about Israel. There was a group on stage who represented former Democrats who walked away from the party. What do you think of that?
Well, all I thought of is how stupid have they been for all these years voting for Obama and other anti-Semites like him. That's what I thought of. I'm glad that they finally saw the light, but meanwhile, where have they been? That is what I thought of. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. Look, my organization, ZOA, is nonpartisan. We don't take positions on who anyone should vote for, but the policies of Obama have been awful for Israel. Policies of Trump have been tremendous for Israel. People should make their own decisions. So I don't know what the next election will bring in terms of Jewish votes. But the Democratic Party has refused to condemn the overt anti-Semitism of Ilhan Omar from Minnesota, Omar, and Rashida Tlaib from Michigan, and AOC from Queens, New York. The overt, ignorant, despicable Jew hatred by these three. And they refused, not only do they refuse to condemn them by name, they've actually defended them. Steny Hoyer and Pelosi have both said they're not anti-Semites. They don't understand their own words. What rubbish. If they don't understand the English language, what business they have to do being in U.S. Congress? It's nonsense. So I'm very, very discouraged by the Democratic Party. I'm discouraged that they gave us this worthless, watered-down non-resolution which condemned every ism and every hate. It was promulgated to condemn anti-Semitism because of Tlaib, Omar, and AOC, and the extreme left of the party and the Muslims pressured the Democrats to water it down, and they collapsed under that pressure. It was shameful.
Sorry?
It was shameful.
Anti-Semitism. Liberals and Democrats allege that President Trump spurs anti-Semitism through trigger words, and that he's not only racist but anti-Semitic. What do you think?
This is utter rubbish. The speech he made after the massacre of Jews in Pittsburgh was the most powerful speech I've ever heard anyone make on anti-Semitism. Ron Dermer, the ambassador from Israel, said this was the most powerful speech against anti-Semitism he ever heard. and in fact, when it comes to racism, the media has lied about what he said about Charlottesville. When he said there are fine people on both sides, if you read his exact words, he made it crystal clear. He means there are people who are in favor of destroying the Robert E. Lee statue, and there are people who want to salvage it, to preserve it. He was not talking about neo-Nazis or KKK. In fact, in his little speech, he said, I deplore neo-Nazis and the Ku Klux Klan. They have no place for us in America. So that speech was not at all anti-Semitic or racist in any way, shape, or form. The media intentionally distorted his words and promoted a lie about what he said and what he meant.
Yeah, and not just one far leftist media, mainstream media.
the media throughout the country. Only 2 days ago, the New York Times had a front-page article that talked about how Trump promoted racism and neo-Nazis in his Charlottesville remarks. A complete lie. That was just 2 days ago. A front-page article in the New York Times.
Would a Democrat administration, if one were to follow in 2021, would a Democrat administration offer Israel as good a deal as Trump would?
If you look at the presidential candidates on the Democratic side, almost all of them are hostile to Israel. So I don't think any of them would offer any sort of resolution that would be as safe and secure and favorable to Israel as this president would.
But does that mean that you would accept whatever deal the president puts forward?
Look, I can't answer. It's quite speculative. I have to see what the deal is. But I am opposed to any concession to the Palestinian Authority at this point in time. And even yesterday, Bibi Netanyahu publicly stated, unequivocally, he's opposed to establishing a Palestinian state because it'll be nothing but an Arab Nazi terrorist state. It'll be an Iran-Hamas terrorist state controlled by Iran and Hamas. Very dangerous. As bad as the situation is now, that would make it much worse.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.